This is a quick performance installation video for mounting a Sand and HD compressor on your LS engine with either a Corvette or Cadillac CTS-V balancer. We're going to start by doing some pre-assembly to the bracket. So we're going to install the 100mm bolts here and here in the spot-faced area, and then just flip it over. A little bit easier to build off of that. Take your shortest spacer and then the link, the medium spacer, and then the longest spacer. These will now be added up to the same exact length, and then put on your back plate. And now we're ready to put this assembly on the engine. We're going to install the bracket here and here on the upper cylinder head, and then also this water pump boss here. And as we're doing this, we're going to keep everything pretty loose, no more than finger tight at the most, so that we avoid any binding. We're going to go through a torque sequence that should remove any possibility for binding, and that way we have the best chance for success, no misalignment, no squeaky belts. For this next step, we want to do a little bit of water pump identification. This will be page 1 of your installation instructions. This is the LS1 water pump. It was used on both Corvette and Camaro with the 2 different belt spacings. This is the LS2 Corvette, and this is the LS3. You can see that these are almost identical except for where the outlet is here. Now, one of the things that did change was the spacing here on this water pump tensioner boss is slightly different between them. So what we've done is we've included just a simple washer in there. So when we go to install this link right up here, we're going to add this washer here so that the link is not being bent back. On the LS1, it does not require the washer. We're going to install the link into the water pump here. Just take the washer, since this is an LS3 water pump, and attach it there. And then just once again, we're going to just take this to where it's less than finger tight, keeping everything loose. Now we're going to go through a torque sequence. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift up on the bracket and make sure that it's pressed back. That way we take all of the binding out of it as we tighten it up. We're going to start with the lower bolt going into the cylinder head, and then just tighten it up really good. Then followed by upper cylinder head bolt. What we're trying to achieve is squaring the bracket to the cylinder head. And we're going to get all 3 of these done, and then we're actually going to go ahead and get out our torque wrench. 10mm bolt, we call out a spec of 37 foot-pounds. Now, one thing I will say to you guys, some of you have these ideas of tighter is better. Do not over torque these. You can actually gall the bracket, and that can cause issues of its own. So get out your tools and use them, boys. We're now ready to install the compressor. What I like to do is take my 35mm bolts and go ahead and install them on the bracket. Have my nuts in my hands here, and just slide the compressor onto the bracket as so. That way it kind of holds it in place for you. And then with your other hand, you can just go ahead and thread the nuts on there. Now, what I would like for you guys to do is at this point, we're going to go ahead and tighten these down and torque them. And the reason behind that thought is we've squared the bracket to the cylinder head. Now we need to square the compressor to the bracket. I like to start down here on the bottom. With the way that the bolt holes are shaped, that's going to give you your best chance for success again. Get them tightened up, and then we'll put the torque to them. But once again, guys, I can't stress it enough. Square the bracket, square the compressor, and that's going to cause a much better chance of success. Get my wrench on the back end here. Now, it is amazing. We have installed this before, trying to get it to misbehave by letting this compressor just hang down on the bracket after having the brackets very loose and everything like that, and haven't had issues, but this is the best way to go about doing this. So now what we're going to do is flip around here and show you installing the bolts in the rear. The next thing we're going to do is actually install this bolt and check for any sort of binding before we start assembling that. We want this bolt to just slide in nice and easy. If you push it in here and it's hard up against this plate or something like that, we've had a little bit of binding and installation, we need to loosen everything back up and try again. That's going to save you from having to be frustrated later when we find out that this actually pulled the compressor out of square. Just these simple little things, guys, can make it so much easier, much better experience for you. Take the time to do this. This back plate is mostly flexible. It's designed to be that way so that this mates up with that without pulling it around. So if you need to push it out of the way a little bit to get the tube in there, it's no big deal. Do not get out your big crowbar. 10 millimeter bolts, 37 foot-pounds. Now we're going to install the idler pulley by taking our 12 millimeter bolt, installing it from behind, our machined idler tube, grooved pulley, and then 12 millimeter flange nut. We want the flange nut on the outside here so it has a nice mating surface to here. The hex head can damage the pulley, so this is the way it's designed. I'd like you to install it that way too. This is a 12 millimeter bolt here, so we will use 50 foot-pounds of torque. We're now ready to install the tensioner. I want to draw your attention to that. We also have a tensioner spacer here. We recommend that you go ahead and install it without the tensioner spacer. Just go ahead and mount this up. The reason why we've included it is we've seen some variation in these plastic pulleys right here. And sometimes the belt wants to run just right, and sometimes it runs a little bit to the front, maybe even just slightly over. And so we included this shim here. If your belt is running towards the front of this, go ahead, uninstall it before you run it, and well, before you run it too much, I should say, and then put that spacer in there. We want the belt running in the center of this pulley. 10 millimeter bolt, 37 foot-pounds. Now we're ready for the belt installation. We work really hard to get you a recommendation that is exactly accurate, but there are variations within pulleys, and also, you know, just the manufacturer of the belt itself can be a little bit different. So we're running our alt power steering with our smaller pulley and our smaller alternator there. So we're using the recommendation there. One of the pro tips I have is save the water pump in this configuration for the last one to slip it over. That way you're not trying to fight it over the top of a grooved pulley there. We do like to see a pretty tight belt because over time, this belt will actually set down further into the grooves, and also these belts are known to stretch just a little bit. So we want a belt that starts off just a little bit tight, and then as time goes on, we want to check these tensioner marks here. We'll show you those. On this tensioner here, it actually has 3 tensioner marks here and an indicator here. Now, as you bring this tensioner through its operating range, you'll see that that's the maximum, and this is more towards the loose side. What we want is, as I said, a belt that's running a little bit tight, but this is a way to monitor it as time goes on to make sure that your belt hasn't become too loose if you develop an issue. Now, the genuine sand-in compressor we sell in-house is actually an 8-groove compressor, and this bracket runs in the center of that, so you'll have a groove left over here and here. Now, there are also 7-groove versions of this exact same compressor, and on that you'll be running in the back 6 grooves, leaving a space here in the front. Thank you for watching this quick performance installation video. I hope that this has helped you. A couple things I want to say. This here is our alt power steering bracket. It does allow you to mount either the truck or the Corvette alternator on there, as well as our smaller pulley, power steering pump, or the Corvette pulley. This bracket also works with the stock factory GM CTSV or the factory Corvette power steering bracket. So this is just a great way to add a Sandin HD compressor to your engine. If you have any issues or concerns, troubleshooting that you need help with, please reach out to us. We do want to help you with that. We make that a big point of our company to have great customer service. We try to have installation instructions and troubleshooting where you never have to do that, but we are available and we want you to take advantage of that. Give us an email, give us a call. Thanks.